here tonight to chat about the benefits of journaling. So thanks for joining me. Now, for everyone who's watching, many of you may know that Viridian actually is a company that the Latte Lounge has partnered with, well, for a number of years actually now. And I was really excited to hear about this new book, The Menopause Journal. It's a practical guide to enable women to thrive through menopause. And it's also a really helpful tool that can help you get started with journaling, and which we're going to be taking a good look at today. So, Aimee, maybe you can start. Would you want to tell everyone a little bit about the sort of concept of journaling, and what are the benefits?
Yeah, sure. So journaling, I think, is a really great way of keeping a track of what's going on in your life in general, but in particularly when it comes to health, we found that journaling can be a really great way of keeping an eye on things like diet, lifestyle, and things that do impact how you're feeling. What I think in particular with the menopause, it can be quite helpful is because we know one of the common symptoms of the menopause is brain fog or sort of poor memory recall. So when women go to the GP to get advice, quite often they can't quite remember or describe what the symptoms are. So this is really where a journal can come in quite useful. I have an example. I have a friend actually who supposed she felt she was probably perimenopausal, and went to the GP, had her consultation, and because she couldn't quite recall all the symptoms and low mood came up quite a bit, the sort of go-to was, oh, you might need to go on antidepressants. So having that journal to really record other things that might be going on can really sort of focus the healthcare professional, may it be a doctor, a nutritionist, a health food store, to really tailor their advice and get the full picture, to help you on your journey, really.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been such a helpful tool for me when I was going through. I mean, I had 4 years of going back and forward to different doctors with all these different symptoms. And I think if I had, written it all down, and, as you say, you have these sort of 10-minute doctor's appointment, don't you? And they're, doctors are so busy and it's quite hard. They have to be, a bit like detectives. So I think this is such a great tool, because I think the more, I suppose, prepared you are before you go to that doctor's appointment, or even for yourself to think, actually, I'm not going mad. I'm suffering all these different things. They can't possibly not be connected for some reason. So, I mean, what does it actually involve doing, on a practical basis? Is it something you've got to do every day, or just when you feel symptoms?
Yeah, so the journal, I mean, obviously with the menopause journal, it's focusing on a cycle. So how we've worked it is that you would track the first month or two cycle, so that you can get a good understanding of what's going on and what your symptoms are. And then from that, you're sort of armed with that information to go to a GP, health food store, nutritionist, and really discuss what's going on, because obviously symptoms vary throughout the women's menstrual cycle. So having a good couple of months really gives you that information that you need. And then on that, once you've come away with what you decide you want to do, may it be through conventional medicine route or looking at diet and lifestyle more, you can then sort of target things. And then the next part of the journal, you've got 3 months worth where you can put things into action. Given advice, if you've been given advice by other people, you can start tracking those things, may it be sleep, exercise, supplements. So it works with that, both ways. The other benefit with the journal is it's not just journaling. We have actually put nutritional information in there. So the journal will cover what the menopause is, what the common symptoms are, what you might be prescribed if you visit the GP, but then goes into the nutrition, dietary and advice. And we've also got some exercises actually that were put together by a menopause specialist PT, which is really lovely as well, and focuses on bone health in particular.
I really love this idea, because I think we're so busy, aren't we, with life, and we very rarely focus on ourselves. And people will be saying, oh, maybe you should do some more exercise, or maybe you should eat better, or have you tried this or done that? And sometimes it's just so overwhelming. And perhaps you have had a couple of trips to doctors as well, and whether they're sort of altering advice, or whether you're on medication, and to have it all kind of in one place to keep referring back to is really helpful, as you say, especially for going through, you know, when you've got things like brain fog, and it's just, it's almost, it's quite good to show to your partner as well, and to say, look, this is, you know, this is what I'm feeling, and there's some really practical advice there too. So look, the inspiration behind this journal came from some quite staggering research, didn't it, that you carried out at Viridian? Can you tell us a little bit about that research and what you uncovered?
Yeah, so Viridian conducted a survey on over 2,000 menopausal women, and the key thing we found was how long really it took for women to get correctly diagnosed. So shockingly, it took 1 in 5 women over a year to get correctly diagnosed as going through the menopause, which is a very long time to sort of be struggling and not understanding what's going on with your body. So they didn't get the help they needed for, you know, in some cases over a year. Women, over 50% of women felt that the GP waiting times were a big issue in getting that help and support that they needed. And the big thing for me is that nutrition and lifestyle just isn't being discussed at GP consultations. Only 4% of women were told anything about diet and lifestyle when they went to see their GP, and less than it was 2/3 of women were not aware at all that diet had an impact on the menopause, when actually we know there's some really great research out there that things like the Mediterranean diet, for example, can massively reduce the severity and number of symptoms that women get. So there is good evidence there, but it's just not being spoken about.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of music to my ears, because I think for my personal journey, and so many women I've heard from, it's really hard where to kind of attack this from. Now, for me, I tried to lose weight and I tried to get fit, and I didn't feel better. And for me personally, the missing piece of the jigsaw was HRT, but I put on a lot of weight and I'd stopped moving. So it certainly didn't fix everything. It certainly helped with the brain fog. But what it didn't do was, I felt, you know, I suppose nutritionally, you know, deprived and weak, you know. And so, you know, it's so important that nutrition and lifestyle is part of this bigger picture. And I think, you know, you've said it yourself, for GPs have this limited amount of time, and it's very hard for them to sit there and do anything but sort of, you know, suggest things. So actually, to be addressing nutrition and lifestyle, it is so important. And even things, you know, supplements like vitamin D, we're also sunlight deprived in this country. But I think, you know, when it comes to things like supplementation, and I know Viridian are really good at this, it can be a massive minefield. You know, what do I need? What don't I need? Where do I start? What does an optimized diet look like? Is that all in this journal? I mean, because often women get really bad advice, don't they, about what to eat, what not to eat. And as we age, perhaps we need to look at our diet in a slightly different, you know, sort of magnifying glass.
So there was a tiny break in that, and I couldn't quite hear your last question. I think we've got a little
Oh,
bit of
I
interference
just,
here.
sorry, no, I mean, I was just sort of saying that it is so important that lifestyle, you know, nutrition is part of this whole picture, isn't it? Especially, it
Massively,
can just be so
massively.
confusing.
Yeah, so the journal, as I say, it does cover nutrition from a macronutrient point of view, vitamins. There's a glossary at the back that does talk about food supplements as well. And yeah, so it covers like a whole host of areas, including sort of phytoestrogen foods, making sure you stay hydrated, you know, all key diet and lifestyle bits. But obviously, you know, visiting a local health food store can be another great way to get that advice from people that are well experienced, and often they have nutritionists on site as well.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, so if someone has, you know, gets hold of a copy of this journal, by the way, where can they get hold of a copy of the journal? I should ask you.
Yeah, so a lot of health food stores do stock them. If not, you can get it from the Viridian website, viridian-nutrition.com.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask that at the end, but the reason for asking it now is because once you've got hold of one of these journals, I guess it's there's no sort of right or wrong way to approach journaling, is there? I guess it's, everyone's going to want to look inside for different reasons. So, I mean, you
Exactly.
know, obviously you're the author of this. Can you tell us a little bit more about it, and sort of what you've developed there that's going to really help us, sort of narrow down how, how to live and feel better, I guess.
Yeah, as I say, it includes not just nutrition, it's not just a journal aspect. It does try and incorporate lifestyle things that we might want to consider. So it is broken down, as I say, explaining what the menopause is, what conventional treatments there might be, nutrition and lifestyle, but also during the tracking phase and the journal phase, it's not just what have you eaten today. It will sort of pinpoint you to certain things like how much phytoestrogenic foods have you had today. So these are foods that almost mimic estrogen, because obviously during the menopause we decline our production of estrogen. So these foods help sort of mimic and trick the body into thinking there's more there, and it can relieve some of the symptoms. So it will sort of remind you about that. It will remind you about making sure you stay hydrated, question you about how much exercise you've done, and also the sleep side of things as well, because obviously sleep can be a big issue during the menopause with sort of night sweats and that kind of thing. So it will give you tips. And the other nice thing about it is it's got some nice motivational quotes from other women that have gone through it, but also some sort of positivity exercises like, have you looked after yourself today? Have you done something for you? So there's a lot more to it than just a table, I guess, that you just fill in. So hopefully people will enjoy it.
Yeah, it's funny because maybe I'm just someone that grew up in the 80s, but I'm one of the few people that still loves a Filofax. Everyone laughs at me because oh, you can do all that on your phone or on an app, but there is something quite therapeutic about writing something down. And I think also it actually helps with your memory, doesn't it? Because I think if you're typing or just quickly swiping and you just can't remember where you put it all, I think having that there, that it's kind of wherever it is, by your bedside or in the kitchen or whatever it is, in itself is quite useful, because it acts as a reminder to possibly do it, to carry on or have a look in there. Was
Yeah,
that
definitely.
kind of part of the thinking?
Yeah, definitely. And also, it can be quite a scary and sort of negative time, but actually you can potentially look back and see, oh, that was a good day, and what happened that day, and what did I do differently? Maybe you start seeing trends and think, oh, actually, when I've gone for a walk that day, or met my friend for a coffee, or ate more of that type of food, the next day has been better. So it's a good way of being able to track what you do in your life and how that's impacting you.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because I always remember that I'd sort of I'd feel really bad when I'd had too much, whether it was coffee in particular, but also spicy food and a glass of wine, and then you just kind of forget. But actually, if you note down, and you can actually see, oh, okay, I'm going to really have to just cut down on alcohol or coffee, because it just doesn't agree with me. I think that's really beneficial.
Yeah, because actually it could be the opposite. It could be a case of, I did not know I drank that much, or I did not know I had
Oh yeah.
that many treats a day. It's a good way of maybe, yeah, keeping an eye of what you are doing.
Yeah, and also I remember the doctor saying to me, "Well, are you really not sleeping?" And I say, "I promise you, I've had about 3 hours sleep a night. I'm only existing on that." But to actually sort of note that down and look back and say, you know what, actually, Sunday I did sleep 7 hours, but the rest of the week 3 hours. It's almost sort of evidence of how you're feeling. I mean, when you look in this journal, are there sort of areas of signposting? So if there's one thing that's particularly troubling you, like whether it's, I don't know, insomnia or aching joints or itchy skin, is there kind of some follow-up within this journal on what to do and where to go and who to speak
There
to?
are some sort of like some support groups, like menopause support groups, local support groups. So maybe nothing specific, but obviously the supplements at the back do focus on key areas. So, for example, when we spoke
Mm.
about phytoestrogenic herbs, they particularly might be quite useful for those suffering with night sweats and hot flushes. And then you've got ones like lemon balm that really help with the sort of brain fog and anxiety side of things. So the herbs and the food supplements in there are probably a bit more focused, but we do have
Mm.
signposts to certain groups that might be helpful as well. Sort of cognitive behavioural therapy groups can be quite useful for women going through the menopause as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about supplements, I mean, is there something that we should all be taking at this time of our lives? Is there sort of one sort of multivitamin that we should all be considering, or is it very much a bespoke, depending on what you need? And also for those who perhaps are on HRT, is there
Mhm.
anything that they need to be careful with? Like you mentioned, I think phytoestrogens.
Yeah, so I mean, I think every woman's journey is very different. So I would say, again, going to a health food store or speaking to a nutritionist, they can guide you through which supplement might be more useful for you. So I don't necessarily think one product necessarily fits all. Obviously, there are supplements in there that do contain phytoestrogenic herbs, and their main purpose is to reduce the severity of symptoms. But obviously, as you mentioned, if they're taking certain medication, they will need to run that past a GP or a pharmacist. With HRT in particular, obviously that's working by giving the individual estrogen as is, whereas
Yeah,
phytoestrogenic herbs and these supplements, they mimic it. So they're a much more gentle way of doing it. But obviously, HRT isn't for everyone. Some women can't take HRT, they're sensitive to hormones, that they might have health conditions or be on other medications, which mean they can't take it. And some women just, want to go through the more natural route, if you like, and look at diet and lifestyle.
yeah,
So that's where supplements can really play a role. But if they are taking HRT, we just say it's best to check with their GP before taking
yeah.
sort of menopause specific supplements.
Sure. Now, I mean, for anyone that's watching and you're interested in journaling, just to let you know, we're actually going to be running a competition, aren't we, Aimee? I think it's at the end of this month, actually, so not long to wait. And you can win one of these brilliant menopause journals, and also the menopause complex supplement, which has been formulated by Viridian's expert nutritionist. So, I mean, for all of you who are watching, please do look out for that. Before I let you go, Aimee, what does an optimized diet look like? I mean, for those who, perhaps really want to sort of sit down, they perhaps have done their journaling and they're realizing that there's just certain foods or supplements that are lacking from their diet. Well, what would you recommend as as a nutritionist that they should be looking at a bit closer, perhaps?
In their day-to-day life, sorry, you broke up again just to get a bit at the end there.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, just looking, sort of talking about an optimized diet and what we should all be, including really, in this sort of age.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously in the journal, I do focus on the macronutrients. So certain things like if we look at carbs, we're saying making sure you're having carbohydrates that are complex and not full of sugars. So it's going for those foods that aren't, avoiding biscuits and cakes, but looking for more unrefined carbohydrates, ones that will sustain you for longer and not spike your blood sugars, because that can actually make you feel less energetic throughout the day. When we talk about fats, we're talking about the good fats. So looking for omega-3 in particular, so fish, seeds, those kind of get your fats from those sort of areas. And then with protein, again, really important with women as we get older, because it does play a role in immunity, and also we know our muscle tone and strength begins to decline. So to make sure that we stay strong within ourselves, protein's a big one as well. So yeah, I do focus on all the key areas within the book, and what to try and avoid and what to incorporate more of.
Yeah. And just for anyone that has just joined us now, I mean, the launch of the journal, for those that may have just joined at the last minute, it aims to support women in identifying and understanding their symptoms, and to prepare for appointments with medical professionals and get sort of solutions that you perhaps need and definitely deserve. And I think it was around Menopause Awareness Month, wasn't it? So last October, when you launched the Menopause Complex. Again, for anyone that wants to know a bit more about that, it's an innovative supplement, and it combines research plant extracts, and it was formulated by Viridian's expert nutritionist, and it basically targets the most common symptoms of the menopause, and it contains hops which can help with perhaps the telltale signs associated with menopause, such as hot flushes, sweating, restlessness, and irritability. So yeah, as I said, you please look out for our competition where you can win a copy of this journal and the complex. We've got Aimee here with us for another few minutes. So for anyone who's watching, if you want to ask any questions about journaling, please do. Or if you've journaled before, I'd love to hear if you found it helpful. I am going to get hold of one myself because, as I said, I'm a pen and paper girl. Do you use it yourself, Aimee? Have you gone through your own personal journey, if you don't mind me asking, and found it helpful?
I mean, I know a lot of, I have worked with a lot of friends and customers that do it for, particularly, I guess, sort of for women, sort of the PMS side of things and fertility. So obviously making sure that their cycles are all lining up. So I know I do, yeah, I have been in that world, I guess, where people have been doing that for cycles for that point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're
And
younger than
I do think
us, but
it will come though.
I was
I
going to
won't
say
avoid it.
you're a lot younger than us, but at least you know what to prepare for. And I think
Well,
it's so
yeah.
good. I mean, I know my daughter and her friends, they journal for their tracking their periods, cycling. So it's the same thing. I think it's just really helpful to, I guess, to know your own pattern and to know where to go for help.
Exactly.
Oh, right.
Exactly.
So I'm just going to have a look. So menopause whilst black. Hello. Journaling is a wonderful tool. It is indeed. And used one daily for the past 8 or so years. Oh, wow. Amazing. Is that Karen? I think that's Karen, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, well, anyone else who's used one, let me know if you found it helpful. I do remember seeing Michelle Griffiths Robinson been journaling away, and I've been watching her, so I will check in with her and see how she's finding it.
Yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah. Oh, well, listen, Aimee, thank you again. And for anyone that wants to know a bit more about Viridian Nutrition, or if you would like to purchase a journal or try the menopause complex, they can get this all on your website. Am I right?
They can, yeah, viridian-nutrition.com. And I think if you go to viridian-nutrition.com/menopause, you can actually download like an extract from the book. So that might be quite useful if people want to get a sneaky peek.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, Aimee, thank you again for joining us. Thanks everyone for watching. And obviously we'll put in the caption later where they can get hold of the website and learn more about it. So thank you for joining me. Hope everyone has a great evening. And if anyone who's watching didn't sort of catch that, it'll be shared on the grid soon, and you can email us at hello@lattylounge.co.uk and we can put you in touch with Viridian and Aimee. If you have any other sort of nutritional questions as well, I know Viridian are really, really helpful, especially when you just don't know where to start when it comes to things like supplements. It's good to have someone to show you the way. So thank you, Aimee.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a good chat, and speak to you all later. Take care. Bye.